Welcome back to Return to Wrestling. My name is El, and after 15 years of not watching wrestling from 2010 to 2025, I finally returned to wrestling, and I want to talk about what I liked and disliked in 2025. Let's start off with AJ Styles and John Cena at Crown Jewel 2025. Now, I've been a fan of AJ Styles since way back in the day. Does anybody remember seeing him in WCW? Probably not, but he was there. And I was there, not in person, just watching, but I was there watching when AJ Styles became the first ever TNA X Division champion. I've been watching this guy in Ring of Honor, TNA, huge fan of AJ Styles. Of course, an AJ Styles match is going to be something I enjoy, even though he's pretty old, he's getting up there. This was a great match. John Cena. Here's the thing about John Cena. John Cena was in what John Cena and what WWE had become at the time was one of the reasons why I preferred watching Ring of Honor and TNA and actually stopped watching WWE on and off for a bit, but by 2008 I was pretty much out of WWE. So for me to see like AJ Styles wrestling John Cena, it's like the old wrestling fan in me wants to be like, oh man, AJ Styles is amazing, John Cena, not so much, it's going to be a terrible match. But you know what? 2025 me, the new version of the wrestling fan in me, I gotta say this was probably the greatest John Cena match I have ever seen. Keep in mind, I have not seen anything he's done between like 2008 and 2025, so he probably had better matches, who knows, but for me, John Cena, AJ Styles, Crown Jewel was the best John Cena match I've ever seen, and is a John Cena match I would rewatch, surprisingly. Next up is Stephanie Vakir versus Io Sky, WrestlePalooza. So this is the kind of match you would show to somebody who doesn't watch wrestling. And this is the type of match that would make somebody become a wrestling fan. Io, Stephanie Vakir, this was an amazing match, probably out of everything I've seen in 2025, one of the match of the year candidates, if not match of the year, possibly. But aside from this match, everything I've seen out of Io and Stephanie this entire year has just been amazing. I think Stephanie, for years to come, is going to be a WrestleMania main eventer. Both of these women, some of the best wrestlers, just period, wrestlers I've seen out of 2025. Next thing I liked about 2025 was SmackDown's tag team division. Throughout the entire year, we had guys like Legado del Fantasma, I believe their name was, DIY, Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, even the Wyatts. It's been a great year for tag team wrestling on SmackDown. I'm not one of those people that says like, oh, I prefer singles over tag team or whatever. Like, good wrestling match is a good wrestling match. The tag team division, it's been great. It's been phenomenal. Watching WWE, especially I'd say in the mid-2000s, I felt there were some fun tag teams, but it didn't feel like WWE really cared about the tag team division, which you could still argue in some ways nowadays, but I think the tag team division on SmackDown in 2025 has definitely been a really good, fun highlight for me. Next up is the women's roster, including NXT. As somebody who grew up watching the Attitude Era and then the Ruthless Aggression Era, women's wrestling wasn't really something WWE cared about. It's like, yeah, we did have good wrestlers like Trish and Lita and so on, but WWE, WWF didn't really care about pushing them as actual talented wrestlers. TNA, the Knockouts division, we're not here to talk about TNA, but, you know, ODB, The Beautiful People, Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, we're not going to talk about that today, but actually, yeah, going off of that, the women's division in TNA in the 2000s, going away for 15 years and coming back and watching the WWE and NXT women's division, it just feels like almost the natural progression in a way. And again, having missed like the 2010s of wrestling, I don't really know what happened in the WWE. All I know is Stephanie McMahon invented women's wrestling apparently, but I'm just joking, but yeah, women's wrestling in WWE. I think as a whole, the women's division, including NXT, on average, the wrestlers are better than the men. I would say, like I'm amazed by just how great the women's wrestling has been, especially since again when I stopped watching this company, they didn't care about women's wrestling. To now see it be like presented as well as like presented as professionally as the men's, but to see the women actually put on average better matches than the guys, just keep up the good work. I just wish the men's division would put in the same effort as the women's did. Speaking of which, the next thing I liked was Thea Hale winning the NXT North American Women's title. Now, I'm not a hater of Blake Monroe, and I'm not a fan of Thea Hale. This match was alright for what it was, but knowing that they like botched the ending and Thea Hale still won, it sort of made me like Thea Hale. Not because there was a botch and she won, but just like she like started crying and stuff, and it just felt like a not necessarily humanizing moment, but it definitely to me just gave Thea a bit more personality aside from her like, oh, I'm a grown ass woman thing. It's like, yeah, you are. Pointing it out doesn't make you feel like you are though. You know what I mean? It's like when a kid says, I'm a big kid now. It's like, yeah, but you're still like 7. So, but I don't know. It was just great seeing that, like, okay, there was a botch and they didn't try to do some weird thing. They're just like, you know what? Screw it. She won. And she started crying. She was really happy. It was a really good, feel good moment. And it was a really cool thing to have seen happen in 2025. The last thing I personally really liked about 2025 was getting to see CM Punk wrestle, as well as some of my TNA favorites, AJ Styles and Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I know this isn't really the time or the place to talk about Ring of Honor and TNA from the 2000s, but then again, those should be topics of discussion people have every day. Like, oh, you don't understand, okay. So, when I stopped watching WWE for a little bit, like it was on and off, but CM Punk, Samoa Joe, and a few other people is what made me watch Ring of Honor. Like, I love 2000s Ring of Honor. It was great matches. I still go back and watch that stuff. Even the other day, rewatching the Samoa Joe CM Punk trilogy. So just seeing CM Punk still around, still wrestling, it's just great. Even though I know he's near the end of his career and he's probably going to retire soon. Same with AJ Styles. Same with Motor City Machine Guns. Anybody remember them from Ring of Honor and stuff? They were there. But yeah, these are guys that were some of my favorite wrestlers in TNA and Ring of Honor. And I'm glad to see that they're still around. And seeing them now wrestle in WWE, to me it sort of feels like I watched them, if to compare to like other sports when they were rookies, and now it's nice seeing them hit the big times, the big leagues, making the big money. But that's what I liked about 2025. A lot of good stuff to like, but now we should probably talk about the stuff that happened in 2025 that I didn't like. One of the things I didn't like about 2025 was some of the John Cena retirement matches, specifically the Lesnar WrestlePalooza match, all of his Logan Paul matches, and his first Cody match at WrestleMania 41. So the Lesnar WrestlePalooza thing, like, I'm not going to sit here and fantasy book what should have been John Cena's final year in this video, because I'm not a John Cena fan, so, you know, there's other people more qualified for that job than I am, but I don't agree with him losing to Lesnar. I don't know if he should have wrestled Lesnar during his retirement tour, but I'm not the one making the decisions. But yeah, it wasn't even like they didn't even really wrestle. Like, Cena just lost pretty badly, and it's like I don't think Lesnar needs to be put over anymore. Like, he already beat Undertaker's streak, which that was already stupid, but we're not going to get into that. And yeah, like, I don't know. I remember during the match, and I could be wrong, but I seem to remember them saying that Cena had a losing record against Brock. So it's not like a win was going to change that, but it's his retirement tour. Couldn't you just give him a win over Brock Lesnar? Not that he had to wrestle him, but whatever. And the Logan Paul matches, I just feel like that was a waste for John Cena. Like, he should have been wrestling guys like Javon Evans, Obafemi, even Ethan Page, like some NXT guys, or maybe The Miz, or some people that at least he has more of a history with. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Logan Paul either. Like, he does a good job and all that, but I don't know how much of his matches are rehearsed. I'm gonna guess probably a lot of it is. Like, he doesn't seem like the type of guy who can go into a match with like no spots, nothing planned, and still put on a match. And just like his promos, like, he's just reading what they give him. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like Cena, the Logan Paul matches were definitely a waste of time. In his first match against Cody, I think SummerSlam was a rematch they had, but that WrestleMania 41 match, like, the SummerSlam match should have been what the WrestleMania match was. So it's like, again, this one sort of feels like a waste, because it's like, you look at the SummerSlam match and it's like, you should have had that in the first place. Going off the Logan Paul thing, just him having repeat opponents or whatever just felt like a waste. Next thing I didn't like was Ron Killings showing up for a day. So I know you've probably heard this a million times, but I was there, not in person but watching, when Ron Killings won the NWA title the first time and the second time. I don't understand the R-Truth character. I don't know if that's just something he wants to do or whatever, but it's like, okay, great, he played a comedy character, and then they tease Ron Killings, and they do nothing with him. Nothing. He was a first... No. I think he may have been the first African-American NWA champion, but, like, I don't know. It just feels like there's so much you could do with Ron Killings, and just having him show up, he cuts his hair, he does all this, and then it just goes nowhere, and it's like, what was the point of that? What was the point of that? Like, as somebody who was like an actual Ron Killings fan back in the day, to see this, it's like, man, like, I'm glad he's still employed and he's making money and stuff, but it's like, he could be doing so much more. I don't know, give us a Ron Killings thing. Maybe that's his retirement tour. Hopefully his R-Truth's retirement tour is just him as Ron Killings just beating the crap out of everybody. Speaking of seeing people for a day, it would have been nice to see Thuganomics John Cena. Now, like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of John Cena, but during a retirement tour, it would be really cool to see like references to previous characters or iterations of the character, like Sting. I saw pictures of when he retired and his sons come out when he's like Surfer Sting and all that. Like, that's really cool. How come at no point did John Cena just came out as like Thuganomics, especially when he was a heel? Like, so we're not going to talk about the heel turn. You can talk about it in the comments, but we're not going to talk about it in this video at least. But it's like that was a perfect moment to just bring back Thuganomics Cena. You know what I mean? Could have even had him at one point just come out in like his prototype attire maybe and wrestle someone or something. But I don't know. No Thuganomics John Cena just felt like that was a waste. They own the rights to the music. How hard is it for him to get a sports jersey? I don't know. Something else I did not like and annoyed me in 2025 was Charlotte Flair winning the Royal Rumble. Keep in mind, I had not watched WWE from 2008 until 2025. So I don't know what the big deal is about Charlotte Flair, but after seeing her in WWE for a year, it's clear that she's only got where she has because her boss, his idol, is her dad. But like, what's the big deal about Charlotte? I don't get it. I don't get, why did she win the Rumble? Why is she here? What does she do? I don't know. It's like, she spends her time looking like Alexa Bliss's mom. And it's, I don't know. Why does she win the Rumble? Why does she have so many title wins? It's just, seeing her wrestle, it just feels like she's a mid-carder at best. And speaking of people not needing things, Gunther retiring Cena. So this isn't going to be any criticism or comment about John Cena at all. Again, not being a fan of his, I feel like I'm not the best person to say who his final opponent should have been. And I like Gunther, but I feel like it didn't need to be Gunther. It should have been someone more related, more tied to John Cena or something. Or, you know what? If it was me, I probably would have had Obafemi beat him or Javon Evans, someone like that. But that's just me. Gunther, again, I like Gunther, but he didn't need to beat Cena. Like, just, I don't know, have Gunther just beat everybody on the roster and then he comes after the champions. And I don't know. I like Gunther. I think he's good as like a champion, as like a good unbeatable heel. But he did not need to. He did not need to be the guy to beat Cena. Another dislike of 2025 I had was Logan Paul joining the Vision. So I already said I'm not really the biggest fan of Logan Paul. If he's going to be in WWE, fine. But Bronson Reed seems like a cool guy. Braun Breaker, definitely like a future WrestleMania main eventer. It just feels like, why is Logan Paul in the Vision? And I know people are going to say, oh, you know, well, somebody in the group has to eat losses. No, they don't. Braun Breaker shouldn't be losing. Bronson Reed, if you're going to be pushing them, shouldn't be losing. Just have them as like just this crazy unbeatable team. Have Braun win the title. I don't know. I'm not in charge of creative or whatever, but it's like, if you're going to team up guys like this, don't just put in an idiot to lose the falls or to take the falls and, you know, lose the matches, whatever. Just don't push them if you're going to plan on having them lose big matches. I don't know. Logan Paul, why is he here? Just, I don't know. Logan Paul should just be the guy who comes out, a face shows up, beats him up, gets a pop, and everyone's happy. That's what Logan Paul, his role should be in the WWE. It's just to get beat up by people so the audience can go home happy. And finally, the last thing that annoyed me in 2025 was Ricky Saints beating Obafemi, as well as Ricky Saints' stupid pose. So I remember before Ricky Saints came over to NXT, I actually saw him in an interview, and he seemed like a pretty good guy, so I was like, okay, you know, saw him wrestle pretty good, but that pose, every time he does that pose, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like when you have a friend who's like a good guy and everything, you want to see him do well, but then every once in a while he does something stupid, and you're just like, It's like, I defended you. I had faith in you. It's just that I'm not going to do the pose, but I hate his pose. I hate his pose so much. And no offense to the guy, why did he beat Obafemi? I feel like they just wanted to give Ricky Saints some NXT titles to push him onto the main roster and be like, oh, see, he won these things in NXT. But to me, and it's not anything against Ricky Saints. I think anybody in that position, I'd feel the same way, where it's like, okay, you came in, you beat the champ, you're obviously going to go to the main roster, but like, they just gave you the belt for like 2 months, like a month or two, just to be like, oh, he was champion. But I don't know. Obafemi, he shouldn't be losing. Obafemi should just beat everybody on the roster and then just beat them again. And then, I don't know, maybe have him get screwed over. Someone finally beats him for the title, like a dastardly heel. They screw him over, there's run-ins, whatever. They cheat, okay, that way it's like, oh, but lost, but it wasn't clean, whatever. Then you just have him come into the Rumble, just clean sweep, just take out everybody, and then he wins, like, I don't know. Obafemi, why is he not beating, like, Cody Rhodes, the top guys? Obafemi, he should be a main eventer. I don't know. The minute I saw Obafemi, I was like, this is a main event guy. He shouldn't have lost and once he lost the title, which he shouldn't have, to Ricky Saints, they should have just moved on to the main roster. They should put him in the Vision over Logan Paul. Or just, Obafemi doesn't even need a Vision. He is the future. He's Obafemi. He's the ruler of NXT and soon WWE, and who knows? Maybe eventually the world. But anything that I may have forgot about, let me know in the comments. Anything you agree with, disagree with, definitely let me know why I'm wrong. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.